So last Christmas I got a camera. I set it up in my studio and it's just been sitting there. But then I was doing this project with shrink-eating paper and I thought that if anyone else on the internet might be interested in shrink-eating projects, they could watch this video, get ideas for what kind of things to experiment with. So I'm going to show you my way of making shrink-eating art. And I'm not going to turn it into jewelry or pens right now, even though I want to in the future. But I am going to show you my methods for transferring, coloring, and cutting. And yeah, when you go to the store and buy pre-sanded shrink-eating paper, it works pretty well on its own. You will have to get it pre-sanded because if you don't, you can't use like soft mediums like colored pencil, lead, acrylic paint, or pastels. You can only use alcohol-based markers. I'm gonna sand my papers just a little bit more on both sides to achieve a grippier surface though. And make sure to wipe off the excess dust with like a loose cloth or a paper towel or something nearby. What I really have to do because of my setup is put down a cutting board, a makeshift cutting board, because I will be cutting with an X-Acto knife on top of using paint, which I cannot do over my current normal backdrop because my backdrop is actually a poster board that I painted gray. I don't know why, I just really wanted a minimalist background gray aesthetic, to be honest. That was really off topic, but yeah. So stage one is what I like to call prepping for professionalism. I'm just painting the backside because when shrink-eatings are shrunk and fully formed, they kind of look a little cheap because of the plastic looking backside. I'd prefer if it looked like a matte black, so that's what I'm gonna try to achieve by painting one of the sides black, and then the other side is gonna be gray, so that when I transfer my graphite, it'll show up. I have to use a hair dryer to dry my paint. That's something that's totally normal. It'd be cool to try one time to transfer like white lead onto like black paint, but I don't think I can achieve that yet with the mechanical pencil lead that I have. These are the kinds of things that go through my mind when I'm doing an experiment like this. I ended up painting like 3 layers before attaching these images. They're traced from sketches that I made earlier, and because the graphite is still soft, by flipping them over and scraping the other side, which I will do with like a larger pencil, the drawings will transfer pretty cleanly. I've learned that you have to keep a piece of scrap paper under your palm whenever you are using graphite on shrink plastic to avoid picking it up and smudging it as much as possible. Otherwise, it's just going to be a huge hassle. Some of what you see in this video is going to be decisions that I made that I honestly regret. For example, when I'm inking the line art before putting down my paint, that was a wrong decision. I'll let you actually watch me do that though, because it was a little fun to do. Shrink plastic is a lot slipperier than tracing paper. I tried to cover up the plastic with some chalky paint, but even with that, it was unwelcoming to ink, and even alcoholic ink would not stick 100% to this surface, which is bad because it means that water-based ink will definitely come off, and that's a problem because when I want to color my images with paint, that requires water. Yeah. Come time to find out just how non-waterproof my ink is, it was definitely not sealed well enough, and some of it does come off with the water, but enough remains that I can paint over top of them with the colors that I want. So I clean up the excess ink, which you'll see me do with like a paper towel or something, and after I'm putting down the paint, I can just touch it up later. Even the Crazy Art marker ink came up, but whatever. I'm gonna go in with my acrylic wash, and that's made with acrylic polymer, so that's not gonna reactivate with water whatsoever. And I'll go ahead and let you watch most of that process. So I'm finished coloring and I'm re-inking the pictures, and all that was left to do was cut out the pictures. And I'm not gonna lie, this part is probably the most difficult part. If you're not confident in your ability to cut things out, you feel like you have to practice a lot, I just practice a lot. If you apply enough pressure and you go slow, you shouldn't have too much trouble, although you might get tripped up 1 or 2 times because the shrink plastic will inadvertently sort of shred if you're cutting at an awkward angle and like rip through your image. I try to avoid this as much as possible by flipping the image, like cutting in opposite directions by flipping it backwards. You won't get amazingly clean cuts, but you can get pretty close. So finally, when all of the pieces are cut, I'm placing them on parchment paper and they're going to go into the oven. And the oven I set to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. All in all, it should take about 3 to 4 minutes for them to shrink completely. I would keep a very close eye on them personally, because sometimes the pieces will try to stick to each other. Don't freak out about this. It's totally normal. If you do see that it's getting smaller and things are still sticking together, maybe poke in and try to untangle them with like a utensil, or just get it out, untangle it when you get it out, and then put it back in, melt it again, and then take it out and press it down with like an iron or a flat cup or something. I actually did have a tiny mishap, not with sticking, but with the paint. It looked a little fuzzy. Sometimes paint cures in very weird ways and creates weird textures, but I was kind of digging it. I'll definitely be experimenting with my paint in the future, maybe thinning it out a little more. So the bunny dink I actually remade, and the second time around I think it came out super well. And yeah, that's all I really have. This experiment was really fun. I definitely recommend you guys go out and try it for yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. This is a shout out to all of my TikTok followers and friends that requested this video. But yeah, if you want to like support me, that would be really amazing. You can click the link in the description to my Etsy store and follow me there, and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you again for watching. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make another one of these kind of experimentation videos with shrink inks or anything else, and I'll see you guys in the next video.